Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show and our usual Monday night roundup, taking a look at all things West Yorkshire and beyond. I'm Chris Bell, and I'm joined as ever by Stephen Downs, by Gareth Walker, and by Lewis Sale. Stephen Browney will be joining a little bit later on to talk all things Leeds United as well. How are we, gents? Are we all well?
All good, mate. Thanks.
Superb yourself.
Not too bad. How are you, Downsy?
Yeah, good, mate, good. Another Monday night with you. Just what I want.
Have you recovered from, in a few short words, have you recovered from Saturday yet?
In a word, no. But in another word, I kind of had because I wasn't there. So I was having an Italian pizza in Barnsley. So there we go.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to question commitment this early on the programme, but okay. We are going to start by turning our attention to Bradford City. Just before we do, a quick reminder is where you can get in touch with us here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. You can get your comments in on via X, or the easiest way is by using the YouTube chat feature. We get them straight through to us. We'll get your comments and views out on any of tonight's clubs that we discuss over the course of the evening. So, Bradford City, Gaz. I imagine you won't need too many words either to describe the 0-0 draw at home to Wimbledon.
Not really, no. Really poor game. Not many chances. Low on quality, as well as being low on chances. Very physical game. The worry is that it's another physical game that we kind of, I suppose, lost out on in a way. Like we were beaten for physicality at Grimsby and Walsall, and Wimbledon kind of edged us a bit physically on Saturday. Although having said that, I would say that we were the better side in the first half. Attacking the cup, best chance came with the last kick before half time, when a corner found its way to Diabate at the back post, and he hit a shot that basically went straight at the keeper. But other than that, despite us dominating possession and territory and probably being the better side, we didn't create a lot. Second half, Wimbledon were probably the better team. Again, didn't create too much. I don't remember Sam Walker having a lot to do, although they did have a shot. I think it was Hippolyte. Is that Miles Hippolyte? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Hippolyte.
Shot from just inside the area that hit the inside of one post, rolled across the line. And I was sure it were going in. And then somehow hit the inside of the other post and bounced back out again. That was the best chance of the whole game, or nearest anyone came to scoring at least. I think we were affected second half because I think we've spoken about on the pod before about how we're short on centre backs. We like to play 3-5-2, or Alexander likes to play 3-5-2. Five senior centre backs in the squad, of which 3 are injured. So for the Mansfield game in the Bristol Street Motors on Tuesday, and for Saturday's game against Wimbledon, we went to like a 4-4-2 with inverted wingers, really, because we don't have out-and-out wingers. So the 2 wingers were playing more as 10s, if you will. And then the 2 centre-backs were Shepherd and Diabate, and Lewis Richards came into the side to play at left-back, which is what you would expect as a game we spoke about last week, because you don't really want to see Tyreek Wright as in a flat-back 4 at left-back.
Who started on the right? Sorry, guys. Who started on the right of midfield then? Because I'm just thinking when you say about not really having wingers, but on the left-hand side, Tyreek Wright surely would have started on the left of midfield and been perfect for that role.
Well, it was, let me think, Bobby Poynton, I think.
Ah.
Bobby Poynton played one side. I'm trying to think who played the other side now. I can't think off the top of it. It was Smallwood and Patterson centre mid. Poynton was one side, and I'm trying to think who was the other side. I'll check that in a minute. And then it was Sanderson and Cook up front, Diabate, Shepherd centre halves, Halliday right back, and then Lewis Richards left back, like he had done. He come into the side to play in the flat back 4 at Mansfield. And he had a decent first half, and then he went off injured at half time. Oh, Tyreek Wright played left side, and Bobby Poynton played right side. And then obviously Lewis Richards went off injured at half time, and Tyreek Wright had to drop back to left back in a flat back 4 and really struggled, and probably as we would have expected struggled, and that is probably why Wimbledon were the better side second half. Really targeted him at left back. He really struggled. I mean, he's learning the trade as a wing back because he's a winger. But we were forced to play him at left back second half, and he struggled. But other than it being a dull game and that shot hitting both posts, the story again is the injuries, because as well as only having 2 fit centre halves, we don't have a left back who can play in a flat back 4. So I don't know what we're going to do going forward unless Richards can be fit for Saturday. I think Simon Parker put an article out tonight saying that there is a chance that Richards could be fit for Saturday. They're hoping that taking him off at half-time helped and that it was cramp rather than a hamstring. We also lost Joe Adams second half. Joe Adams made a league squad for the first time. He's only featured in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, but he made a league squad for the first time because he played well on Tuesday at Mansfield. He'd started there and done well. He was on the bench for Saturday, and then when Richards came off at half-time, Tyreek Wright dropped to left back and Adams came on to play left mid. And then he went off injured midway through the second half. We're just having no luck at the moment with injuries at all. I think with 8 out now. And given that Alexander's tried to trim the squad down and go with a sort of compact squad, it's a worry because particularly defensively, like I say, we've had to go to 4-4-2 because we've only 2 fit centre halves and now we've no left back. So we're going to, if Richards can't play, Wright's going to have to play there, and he really, really struggled in the second half on Saturday.
I mean, I know we'd spoken last week in terms of the depth, and obviously that because it is a bit more of a streamlined squad, shall we say, compared to previous seasons, that there might be issues. I mean, look, we touched on academy prospects. I'm assuming that a combination of the Mansfield game in the Cup and in the Trophy and the game on Saturday, nobody was any further from the academy side or potentially looking like getting any minutes anywhere.
No, I was wondering whether George Goodman would see a bit of game time or be on the bench because he's believed to be I believe he's very highly rated, plays for Northern Ireland under-19s, featured a little bit in pre-season, trained with the first team, but he didn't make the bench at Mansfield. He didn't make the bench Saturday. The one academy prospect who did make the bench for both games was Noah Wadsworth's brother, Gabe Wadsworth. He was on the bench for both games. Centre mid, who, when I saw him in pre-season at Chorley, played at right wing back and had a decent game, to be honest. So yeah, maybe he's the pick of the bunch at the moment, judging by that, the fact that he's the one that's been picked to make the bench, but didn't come on in either game. We just got to hope that, like I say, Richards and he's back for Saturday and can play left back, because I don't think the centre halves are going to be back for, I think they said 2 weeks, so you're probably looking at a week on Saturday at the earliest, I would guess. Maybe they might be fit for one of them or two of them might be fit for Morecambe on next Tuesday night. But yeah, you're hoping that Richards can come through training and play, because if we can't play that 4-4-2, we can't play left back at 4-4-2, we're going to really, really struggle. Jamie Walker was also missing on Saturday. He apparently picked up an injury at Walsall last week, but they're hoping that he will be fit for Saturday, for this Saturday coming, and it was more of a precaution leaving him out with Saturday just gone.
In terms of, obviously, he's been quite vocal, to say the least, in recent weeks about refereeing, and the standards of it has Graham Alexander. Did he have much to say post-match with this one? I mean, I know there was an Oliver foul that on another day probably could have been given.
Yeah, he sort of picked up a little bit where he'd left off after the Walsall game, said he didn't want to become known as a serial complainer and he didn't want to sort of rant like he had done at Walsall after Walsall. But he did mention that he'd spoken to the PGMOL after Walsall last week, when he was obviously very, very angry, and rightly so, and I agreed with what he said. Surprisingly, he said he spoke to the PGMOL after Tuesday's game at Mansfield as well, and that's a game that we won 3-0. Now, I don't exactly know what he spoke to them about after that game, but he said he would be speaking to them again after Saturday, because there were 2 incidents that could have been given as penalties and weren't on Saturday. Apparently, the Verdane Oliver one, I couldn't really see it from where I was sat, but apparently he swung round by the centre half, who's got both hands on his shirt, swings him round full 360, shirt's nearly off over his head, and he falls to the floor and nothing's given. Now, I couldn't see that one from where I was, but from what people are saying, it's just laughable that a penalty is not given, to be honest, and it's one that 9 times out of 10 he's given, and probably other teams get it and we don't. The one that I did see was the Joe Adams one. At first, I didn't think there was much in it. I thought it would have been soft if it was given. Defenders running to the back of him as he's taking the ball on the edge of the area. He's sort of facing, he's sideways onto the goal on the edge of the area. He's facing the Sunwin stand. Defender comes across from the middle and road stand straight into the back of him. And he thought he goes down. It's like I said, first time I saw it, I didn't think there was much in it when I was at the game. Seeing it on the replay, he's gone right. He's absolutely flattened him. It's actually more physical than there's more force to it than there looked at the time. And Joe Adams picked up an injury from that and has gone off injured. So, yeah, they both could have been given as penalties, and I'm sure that's what Graham Alexander's going to speak to them about. He said that the referee, the conversation that he'd been told that referees can't see everything, but he'd expect when something's in the box that he'd get enough help from his line or his assistant referee, and he should be certainly seeing things that are in the box that are pivotal to the game, and you can't really disagree with him. I thought the referee on Saturday was decent, actually, first half, but second half was largely poor and seemed to lose the game a little bit. There was a bit of a set to towards the end of the game. Richie Smallwood went flying into a tackle on a Wimbledon player, and it was one of those where frustrations boiled over a little bit. Both teams went flying in, and there were a couple of bookings for each side. I think that kind of came from, like I said, frustration because the referee had lost the game a little bit for both sides and wasn't giving things that he should have been giving. Just deeply frustrating. But I did say before the Walsall game that I thought that a point against Walsall and a point against Wimbledon wouldn't be bad results. Obviously, we've got the point against Wimbledon, who looked a decent, if physical, but decent side. Walsall, we were unfortunate not to get a point. But I was saying that with the caveat that if we got the point in those two games, we need to go on and win the next three. The next three are Harrogate away, Morecambe away, and Newport at home. Now, the worry is that because we've struggled against physical sides, that is what those three teams will do to us. They will be physical and they will get in our faces. And we've got to stand up to that. And the fact that we've got so many players out injured and some experienced players at that is a worry now going into those three games, because I do think if we had a fully fit squad, we would be looking to take, or should be capable of taking 9 points from those three games. And now we've got all these players out injured. It is a worry that we're not going to be able to fulfil that sort of target.
As you say, looking ahead, then it's Harrogate on Saturday. Now, if I'm right in thinking, up until last season, they were quite a bogey side since they entered the EFL.
Yeah, I think it was might have been the season before last, actually, because Tyreek Wright scored there when we had him on loan. I think we beat them 2-0 at their place. That was the first time we'd beaten them since they came back into the league, or came into the league. I don't think they've been in the league before. But yeah, they have been a bit of a bogey side for us. I think last season we rescued a point at home with a really late goal from Jamie Walker. That was when fans were I think it was around the time fans were starting to turn on Mark Hughes. It was prior to Tranmere. He lost the game, obviously lost his job after the Tranmere game. But Harrogate at home was either a game or 2 games, not long before that anyway. And the crowd were really, really on the team's back in that game. And like I said, Jamie Walker rescued us a point. It was 91st, 92nd minute, something like that. But yeah, they have been a bogey side for us. And it was sort of getting a monkey off our back a bit when we beat them at their place a couple of years ago. We played really well that day. It's the early kickoff on Saturday, as it often is when we go to Harrogate. I think it might be on the TV. So yeah, like I say, we're going to have to stand up to the physicality, because teams who are probably, I don't want to be disparaging, but teams who probably on paper haven't got the quality that we've got will always come and be physical. I mean, we've done it to other sides when we've had the cup runs in the past. And that's what teams will do when they don't have the quality, but especially now where we've struggled sort of for the physicality against Grimsby and Walsall and Wimbledon, and with the players that we've got out injured, teams will target us in that way, and we're going to have to stand up to it on Saturday. And I just hope that we have a couple of players back and can do that.
I think you'll be a little surprised, actually, because for me, Harrogate have never been a particularly physical side, actually. They're quite he likes to try and get them playing football the right way. They will play off a big man at times, but they're not what I would class as a particularly physical side on. So not renowned for being physical when you look at the list of League Two sides that are there. So it might actually not be quite as bad in that respect, and might actually help you out in that favour.
Well, I hope so. Like I say, I think it's just so disappointing that we've got so many players out injured at the moment, and yeah, I just hope that we can get through these few games until players come back and still be in the mix, around the playoffs. Like I said a few minutes ago, I would have thought we should be aiming to take 9 points from these games, and if we were to do that, we'd be right up near the top of the league after 10 games of the season. But it's going to be tricky because of the injuries that we've got.
Yeah, we'll come to
Harrogate played. Sorry, go on, Chris.
No, we're going to say we'll come to predictions in a second. I was also going to say that, of course, there's a League Two gets Monday Night Football precedent tonight as well for the seafood derby in this case, the Cod Army versus the Shrimpers in Fleetwood Morecambe, which actually I've got it on, so I'll keep half an eye on that because I think it'll be quite a nice little game actually.
Harrogate will play off Jack Muldoon, won't they? And Matty Daly sits in behind as an attacking midfielder.
Muldoon's not big. He's not big at all.
But he links the play, doesn't he, very well?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's been a really good player for them. I mean, he was part of Lincoln's promotion-winning side out of the National League and the cup run that we had. But he's he links things up, but he's not. He's not physical. He's not going to hold things up. But I think they have replaced with a big man there. They've always had one over the years.
They've got Anthony O'Connor at the back. Sorry, Lou.
Yeah, we've got Josh Marsh up front. Who's
Josh Marsh and Muldoon up front with Daly in behind, isn't it? Normally.
Sorry, Dooley's not. He's quite a tidy player. He's Dooley. I mean, obviously, Anthony O'Connor from his time at City. Obviously,
big centre there.
He's back there, and they've got Moonu as well, who's been on loan. So yeah, I think he should have enough in the bank there to beat them.
Matt Daly was a Town player for a bit. He came out of our academy.
Who's that, mate?
Matt Daly. We sent him on loan to Harrogate.
Well, we had him on loan. We had him on loan at City from you at one point. He did really well. I can't remember who he was on loan at before he came to us.
It would have been, might have been Accrington. Could have been Accrington.
He was on loan somewhere and he played really well against us. And then we took him on loan for the remainder of that season and he really struggled.
Hartlepool, was it?
That's the one. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. And then he's got obviously signed for Harrogate, Perm. Like you said, they've got Anthony O'Connor at the back, who we all know very well. They actually beat us 3-0 at their place last season. And we were absolutely... It was in that run in March when we were absolutely dreadful and we lost 4 on the bounce or whatever we did. And the performance was horrendous and they deservedly beat us 3-0. So we need to put the record straight on Saturday.
Go on then, predictions. You want to set the record straight, Gaz? I'll let you go first for this one.
If Lewis Richards can play, I think we'll win the game. If he can't, I think we'll draw the game or lose narrowly. So it's all going to depend on who's available, really. I'm going to edge my bets and I'm going to go 1-1.
Dancer?
What? That's a lot of pressure to put on Richards, but fair play.
It is, isn't it? It's a lot of pressure.
But you are making the difference between 3 points or none, basically. That's what Gaz is saying.
Just let me clarify. That is because, as I've been saying, we've been forced to go to this 4-4-2 because so many of our centre backs are injured, and he is the only player we have available who can play as an out and out left back. So if he's to go as well, you're down to basically playing a formation that you're not used to with your only 2 fit centre halves, and you've no one who can play at left back. So that's the reason for it. Yeah.
Sorry, Dancer, just before you crack on, is there an opportunity for, say, square peg round hole, but maybe put Brad Halliday at left back and put Jay Bennett right back, and just to kind of shore it up, he's a bit more of a natural defender, and away from home, it's a little bit of extra security.
We were talking about this in the ground on Saturday because Tariq Knight was really struggling second half at left back, and I was saying to my dad, I said they're going to have to put him out of his misery here because he's really, really struggling. He actually a ball came down the left hand side, and he tried to head it back to Sam Walker. Didn't get enough on it. The Wimbledon player runs in, lays it across, and they actually scored, and it was disallowed for offside, and it would have been a toenail offside if anything.
Yeah.
And I said to my dad, I said, they're going to have to put him out of his misery. He's really, really struggling. You could see his head had gone down. And that was the only thing I could think of, Luke. The only thing I could think of was bringing Jay Ben on and playing either him or Brad at left back and the other one at right back. Because they are fullbacks, and although it is on the wrong side, they are used to that position in a way. That is the only other thing we could try. Yeah.
It's the old Kieran Trippier role for England.
Yeah.
My prediction is Bradford 2, Harrogate 1.
Thanks, Downsy.
All right, man.
Lou?
I can see the reason. I think listen, it's one of those, isn't it? It's that football saying, if you don't play well, just don't lose. And he seemed to do that on Saturday, I think, which is a bonus against Wimbledon. We're flying. Obviously, confidence ahead of doing well in the Cup and beating MK Dons. They've got everything behind them. So I actually don't think it was terribly bad for City. I know a few people who went who kind of echoed exactly like you said, Gaz. It was pretty dull, pretty boring. But actually, I think that's a compliment considering the state of the squad as it is at the moment and what Alexander can get out of that. I agree. I see that. I think Alexander may possibly not risk right at left back for the full 90, especially away from home against a team who you think you can capable of beating. I think you'll win 2-0. I think Harry got a 2 up and down for me. And I think you've got enough quality up in kind of that final third to really hurt Harrogate, where I think, to be fair, I think they're quite weak.
There we go. See, so far so good, Gaz. I'm gonna go.
This is why you ruin it. 3-3.
To stick to our usual. Well, hey, if there's potential for players out of position or unusual formations, there could be goals in it. 3-3.
Good lad. Sticking by his guns. He's going to say that every week till it happens, aren't he, Chris?
Can you just change your name from Chris Bell to Roy Keane, please? That'd be great. Cheers, thanks.
Why?
Because he always goes like 3-2 or 3-3, doesn't he?
I can't say I've noticed, to be honest.
Oh, he loves a 3. He loves a 3. Because Jill Scott takes the mickey out of him every week for it, doesn't she? Because of his Irish accent.
I'll be honest, mate. You've been watching a lot more of the overlap or the underlap, whichever one it's called. I have, clearly. Let's move on and away from City. Lou, a heck of a lot in a busy weekend in the non-league scene. I will basically hand over to you. We'll start at the top then with FC Halifax Town, and they just keep on picking up results recently.
Yeah, a really good win. Maidenhead, who've been struggling obviously so far this season. I think it's one of those where Halifax will be really buoyed by that victory. That's the kind of victory that you do need to be in and around the playoffs. Not the easiest place to go, probably expected to win, but one of those places where it's never easy to go and get a result. And I think what made it even better is obviously the news of Millington just staying away, having an operation early in the week as well. So it was Andy Cooper who was in charge. And knowing obviously the way Coops operates, he's obviously got his team sorted in the training and seeing the interviews and words after it and from people saying that actually it was a really good professional performance. I think even Cooper in the local press said it was a monumental effort, which, sometimes it's those kind of quirks that go in your favour, that it may not be all plain sailing and then everything goes as it should be doing. You've got to overcome a few obstacles in that week, and when your manager's not around to potentially take training and then travel down and get the squad ready for arguably, a game that we're expected to win. I think, absolute credit to Vishamin to get that 1-0 over the line, Hotty with a goal, which will be, boosting for his confidence and for the team as well. So, yeah, I think it's a really good victory. 1 point away from the playoffs, a couple of games. Again, not on paper, difficult to say, but on paper look winnable.
Tomorrow night, especially.
Yeah, tomorrow at Braintree. It's again
long trip though.
Listen, it's not my favourite place to go in the world. I wouldn't say on a Tuesday night. It's Braintree. No disrespect to any Braintree Towns watching, but they're in the bottom 4 along with Wilston, who we've got at home on Saturday. And it's probably a little bit what Gaz was saying. It's difficult because it is never won on paper, but Halifax are going into these 2 games with quite a bit of confidence, looking upwards rather than downwards after a little bit of a shaky start, even in pre-season. And listen, I think they're doing the right things, saying the right things. They've recruited really well, especially in pre-season, the 2 loan signings, which is what we've mentioned, a few weeks ago. And to me, listen, it could all change tomorrow night if you lose 4-0 at Braintree, but because football's like that. But I expect Halifax to come away with probably at least 4 points out of these 2 fixtures coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on then, Farsi Celtic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a difficult one because they played Leamington at home at Alfreton in front of 115 people, which mustn't have been easy for both teams. That mustn't have been easy at all. So I think from that respect, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to kind of just get yourself into that frame of mind when you probably know that you should be at home, but you've obviously got what's happening off the pitch in terms of getting that pitch ready, and it's just a difficult scenario, isn't it, for any player to to not be playing at the home ground, and it's going to have some almost subconscious effect on you. And it's probably one that you don't really fancy losing against Leamington because of, possibly going to be towards the bottom of the league, arguably at the end of the season, and you can't be really affording to lose those kind of fixtures. But the kind of silver lining, if there is one out of this, that they are actually on TV cameras like Campion were the other week in the FA Cup. They're away at Withenshaw Town, and that's been picked as that game in the FA Cup. We thought it might have been Guiseley Scunthorpe, but Withenshaw Town against Farsley have been given a nod. So Farsley will come away with an extra £2,000 in the back pocket, which is a big bonus when you're not expecting it. And a fixture, again, with respect, that they're probably hoping to win with a few divisions above Withy Town. 12:30 kick-off. It's one that is, obviously they've picked it for a reason, of the TV cameras, but it's one that Farsley could do well in. And, I think we were saying, weren't we, that, the first round draw is going to be made at Valley Parade, and I think Farsley would love to be in that draw and potentially get a lucrative tie away. It could be a Bradford City, it could be a Huddersfield Town, for instance, and that will really, really boost the back pockets of the club there at the Citadel.
Can I just ask quick?
Another round to go, isn't there, for that one as well, if they can get through the fourth qualifying round as well. But go on, Danza.
Two questions, Lou. One was, why was there 115 people? Do you know? And
Because
secondly,
it wasn't at home.
Yeah, but is that a regular low attendance for Leamington? That's what I'm saying.
No, it was due to be Farsley's home game, but because of the situation with their pitch for having to play their game away from their home ground, so it's listen, it's still closer probably to Farsley than Leamington, because Leamington's ground is in the middle of a farmer's field, basically. But it literally is.
Abattoir.
Sorry,
I think the nearest house is like a mile away, pretty much. But it's a low attendance. Nobody from around the area is probably going to go. Again, it's not the most glamorous of ties, is it, Farsley Leamington? No. If you're in around the area, you're not really going to go out your way to probably watch it. Farsley probably for at home would have probably got possibly double, triple that attendance. But the difficult thing is out of this, that obviously Farsley are having to pay for travel. I think they believe they're putting an hand in the pocket for fans to go as well. So it's not going to be cheap. And when you're getting 115 for every gate, that doesn't really help either.
And were you surprised at that the FA Cup draw being picked that it has been? Because I think we all pretty much last week said that we expected the Guiseley tie to be picked.
I probably am. I'd expected Guiseley Scunthorpe to again be a little bit more attractive.
Potential for a couple of the southern ties as well, actually, to have been picked as well.
Yeah, it's nice to see some of the northern clubs get the opportunity to kind of put the name in lights. I think it's probably just simply because of the gap between the both teams in the pyramid, where there's probably Guiseley and Scunthorpe, a division apiece, whereas I think Farsley and Withenshaw could be wrong.
I think Withenshaw Town went up last season, didn't they? I think they went up. Well, both Withenshaw clubs went up last season into the NPL West. And if I'm right in thinking, George, he certainly was last season, but George Boyd, the ex-Peterborough and Burnley player, was playing centre midfield for Withenshaw last season. So I don't know if he's still there. I assume he would be. And
it's also, from a BB's perspective, for based in Salford, it's not far, is it, really? So it's an easy job. But listen, I think it's one of those where, it's not going to be easy for Farsley, but one where they'll be looking at that and, probably hoping to get something out of that. And listen, any bit of money, even whether it's $2,000 or whatever it is, it's not that, you can't sniff at that kind of opportunity. No. So it's a bonus for both teams. But I would expect Farsley to come out when he's in that one.
Moving on then. Oh, go on, Gaz.
Are Farsley any closer to announcing a permanent solution to what's happening with their manager, Lou? Or is it going to be as it is for the foreseeable?
It's Pav, Pav's taken charge, and it seems to be that is the case with his support team of Atkinson and Connor Branson. So I think the way the statement was written, and the way the statement was written kind of did suggest that that's their man, and he's going to lead him forward. He's been director of football for a few years. It is his club, really, and obviously he thinks that he thinks he can do a better job, which is, respect. Realistically, that's ultimately what the decision is, and he thinks he can do a better job than those in charge at the time, which is fair because obviously he's paid the money to do that and make the big calls. So, I think he started well. nobody, let's be honest, not many people would have had Farsley as high as they are in the table. They've done remarkably well. They have got quite a deep squad. And listen, this is all be why not in the past, 2-3 weeks, they haven't had Danny Ellis or Clayton Donaldson in the starting 11 or on the bench either.
That's not
even. I mean, I understand why, because
of
of kind of not the manager and the assistant manager, but they're still technically registered as players, but they haven't been playing or on the bench. So when you've got two of your experienced people not even in the squad, he's doing a decent enough job, and that division is crazy anyway. And I think Farsley to have a real good start to the season is without sounding respectful, it's probably not a bonus. It's actually just this probably quite an established team at this level now, and what they want to do is not be forced to hand in the last game of the season by having to win or rely on others to keep them up, which has probably been the case in the past 2-3 years. Actually, they probably want to do it outright, and let's be honest, quite a mediocre mid-table finish would absolutely suit Farsley, but the way they're going at the moment, they seem to be just knocking on the door of those above them. Do I think we'll finish as high as where they are now? Probably not, but listen, it's that kind of fuel that we're going to use to surprise people, and nobody's going to really want to face them. And especially when the pitch gets sorted, they're going to have to get used to that potential artificial surface, which is another dimension to the play, and maybe what Pav's already got in mind of how he wants to recruit and his Farsley teams to look like in the future.
Right.
Going forward, then, Guiseley, a disappointing defeat at home against the side doing Worksop that a lot of people expect to be there or thereabouts in that, playoff places come the end of the season.
Yeah, my tip to finish first in that division will Worksop. They just look really strong, really organised, full of just pros at this level who do it tough. Really gritty and determined team who will, maybe use what we saw potentially, dark arts and all that, but they just do what they need to do to get the win. And you'll see on occasions Worksop will put plenty of goals past people. They've already done it this season, scoring 5, 6, 7 when they're on it. And listen, I think when I were reading some comments online about what Guiseley had done, actually the fans were really complimentary of the team. They said, they really gave it everything. They can't really complain because probably Guiseley may have arguably played a better football, but were just kind of outdone by Worksop having that little bit of experience, that little bit of know-how in the final third to get them over the line. So it's not, from a performance perspective, it's not a disaster. I think Mark and Danny will be looking at probably slightly disappointed that they've not come away with at least a point from a home tie against one of the favourites, which Guiseley realistically should be competing against in this division for this season. And but it's one where they can almost aspire and use them as a little bit of a beacon to look at and going, actually, that's what we need to be come the end of the season. It's how you finish the season, it really. But listen, they're going to be in and around it, guys. There's no doubt about it. But I think they'll be probably a little bit disappointed to lose out.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on then to the MPL East and the 7 clubs that we've got from our region in there.
Yeah, so I'll rattle through again like I normally do, alphabetical order without showing any preference. Start with Bradford Park Avenue. So, yeah, lost 2-0 to West United in the FA Trophy. Disappointing display. Just out to Gazzy's point about City, physicality won Ossett the game. Avenue were their own worst enemies, 2 mistakes, 2 strikes on goal from Ossett United, and they won it. And what's happened is I think Elliott's now, interestingly, in his interview, said he learnt more from his players in that game than he had done over the past 2-3 weeks. So I would expect plenty of movement coming in and out of the team. With a bit of news coming out today that Keelan Swales, who ironically joined from SC United, who previously has gone to Belper after 7 days' notice was put in, and he's agreed to go there. But coming into Avenue is somebody who, around the non-league scene, is quite well known from his time at Brighouse and Silsden in Jack Normanton. I know Jack's been training with the team for the past 2-3 weeks, and has obviously done enough to impress Craig to give him a chance. And a player called Iquarelli Scott played on Saturday as well, who's not been familiar to these parts up here in West Yorkshire. Absolute unit, 6'1", 6'2". He just does what you want a physical player to do, which, to be fair, Avenue haven't got. And I think once the squad settles down, he'll be there. And also quite an eye-catching signing that may have caught the attention of people as well in the local area was Mike Beavers, who'd been previously at Peterborough, Lincoln, and most recently Perth Glory. He's relocated back home and he's signed for Avenue. So listen, over 500 EFL appearances is exactly what Avenue need. Hasn't played a little bit due to an MCL injury, but I believe he's ready to get going once all his international clearance and stuff has gone through. So hopefully he'll be in and around the squad for the home game on Saturday for Avenue. But yeah, it's one of those that it came out of nowhere, being a bit of a long shot, worked hard at it, and got him over the line.
Yeah, actually, right in thinking that he's 33, 34?
33, 34, yeah, 34. Yeah. So he's still got probably another, couple of years. And again, we know that realistically at this level, if he's probably 3/4 of a player that he was in Perth, he'd probably do a great job in this division.
Yeah.
Adds experience, adds a bit of leadership that the club probably both need on and off the field. So yeah, listen, it doesn't really, to me, scream as a lose-lose situation. It's a win-win because you get to play with all the experience in the world who's, ironically probably been touted to return to the Football League and potential National League level, and has dropped that far enough down to the East Division to join Avenue and hopefully try and turn things around there. So yeah, it'd be interesting how that goes. But yeah, the next fixture for Avenue, we've got a couple. So tomorrow night in a West Riding County Cup away at Golka. I'm in at home to Heaton Stannington, which is quite a synonymous weekend for Avenue, and those in a local area because it's the traditional beer festival. So it spreads across 3 days. Bands, money goes to Marie Curie and the BPA Juniors. I mean, on Sunday at 1 p.m, there's almost like a veterans game. So it's some players from the past at Avenue and City will be playing and getting the boots on and having a bit of a laugh and playing a bit of football and raising money for charity. So it's usually a really good weekend. So yeah, Vets game starts at 1 on Sunday. The beer festival runs through from Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Any names for that Vets game, Lou?
You put me on the spot, mate. I do. 2 seconds. Let me just quickly have a look. Talk amongst yourselves.
Is it the Bradford City Vets team, official Vets team? Because they have a few, don't they?
I don't know exactly what it is, but I believe so. I think from City that will actually probably raise a few eyebrows from those Bantam fans listening. There's likes of apparently, hopefully to turn up in a day, Billy Clark, Gary Jones, Nathan Doyle, Dean Windass, Philip Moraes. So it's kind of that year that obviously City fans are really used to. And then from an Avenue perspective, I believe is like the old Captain Rob O'Brien, Tom Greaves is going to be there, Mike Beck, Willie Wilson, who's very well known around these quarters in non-league as well. And also there's going to be dedications to former kind of Avenue and local like Ossett player manager was Clive Freeman, who unfortunately passed away recently. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really good weekend. So again, if you do have the opportunity to come down, especially on the Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, it'd be great because it's a really, really good atmosphere, really just a good weekend. Of course, drink responsibly, guys and girls. So yeah, so that's Avenue this weekend. Then kind of running through some of the teams in the division. Brighouse lost 3-0 to Liversidge at home, big loss. Surprised me actually did that one because I watched Brighouse last week at Emley and they impressed me a lot. So that was a surprise, but they can bounce back at Dunstan on Wednesday and at home to Grimsby Borough on a Saturday. Emley surprisingly lost in the FA Trophy 3-0 to Newton Aycliffe. That did surprise me. I know there was a few changes, but never saw that one coming. Again, to the point of watching them last week, looked really solid, organised. Again, probably need a couple of players to really cement the place in the playoffs and be a proper contender for going up, but they've just got good experience and quality and know-how through that team. And
there were it's not a priority, Lou. I think what they're saying is that the league is the priority, particularly in the positioning at the start that they've made. And in my contact with Richard Tracy, the manager, he was always going to make changes. And they're playing in the Sheffield and Hallamshire Cup, and basically that's going to be an under-23s team and people that need a few more minutes to get back from injury that's close to the first team. So I think the Cups, they've just sort of like, in the past, they've been really good in the Cups and got quite far. And I think they've just taken the decision because of all the injuries that the priority is going to be the league and carry on the start that they've tried to have.
Yeah, makes sense. And then follow that up with an away trip to Bishop Auckland on Saturday. Gareth have had a really, really good win at service, even despite their opponents being bottom of the league, but they won 4-3 away to Sheffield. A 98th minute winner from Matt Ancliffe just keeps Gareth just ticking along really nicely. I mean, keep saying about Gareth, just keep an eye on them because they just kept the majority of the team together from last year and just seem to be doing the right thing. And like I say, 4-3, and they were actually 3-0 down before half time. So to score 4 unanswered goals in the second half is a phenomenal effort from Paul Marshall's team. And they're away to Stocksbridge on Wednesday. Liversidge, after their win, they ironically play Newton Aycliffe, who beat Emily there on Saturday. Ossett United, after their cup exploits against Avenue, they got rewarded with a home tie against Prescott Cables in the Premier Division, and they're at home to Belper, who are up there or thereabouts in the East Division. Ponty Coles on the Friday night, unfortunately they got knocked out of the trophy, losing 4-0 to City of Liverpool and hoping to bounce back at home to Carlton on Saturday. And then just to run through some scores from the FA Vars across the weekend, it was Albion Sports 1, Taddy 1, Ashton Town 1, Armford Welfare 0, and they're looking for a new manager now at the moment at Welfare. Van Aldswick 3, Steeton 1, Campion 2, Billingham Symphophia 0, Wakefield in their home fixture but had to play at Barnton Town. They 1-2-1. It was really nice to see Yorkshire Amateurs get off a mark in the trophy in the Vars as well, winning Newcastle Benfield 3-1. In the Premier Division, Silsden lost to an 87th minute goal at Barton Town. Parkgate beat Eccleshill 2-1. And then the two eye-catching ones, Golka beat Bottisford 4-0, which is a really good, strong result for Golka. And Fackley, for me, the pick of the fixtures of the weekend, beat Hallam 2-1. So again, Fackley just doing really well. Second in the league at the moment, 3 points behind Penistone with a game in hand. So that's really encouraging. In Division 1, Glasshoughton Welfare drew against Brigg Town 2-2. Ilkley just keep doing Ilkley things at the moment, up to 6, winning Appleby Frodingham 3-1. Horbury Town lead the division with a game in hand. They beat Louth Town 3-1. Nostell Miners Welfare beat Affersley Rec 4-0, and South Leeds drew 2-2 to Shelley on Friday night. And just like I say, again, as we normally say, a load of fixtures happening during midweek and through the weekend. The standout fixtures across the midweek for me is Wednesday night, Campion against Penistone. Reason why I say that, you probably don't look at it, the league table, and think that, but Penistone in a moment, personally with my tip, to do really well, possibly win that division at top at the moment. Campion, who've obviously done exceptionally well in the FA Cup, have 5 games in hand over Penistone already, so early on in the season. They've only played 5 games of Campion, so Campion, Penistone, and at Manningham Mills on Wednesday could be a really interesting one. So yeah, that's kind of a roundup from non-league, and like we normally say, we'll keep up to date with all the goings on around the local area. But yeah, there's plenty going on.
That's always. I think the one other thing to mention, though, Lou, as you're on Liversidge, obviously Rimo leaving the club on Saturday, and it was completely out of the blue. It was a 9 a.m. tweet from the club saying that Remington had left the club, and then nothing, and then just all the usual matchday Twitter activity you expect, obviously leading up to the Big House game and during the course of that. I mean, I don't think anyone really saw that coming.
Yeah, I think it's been a difficult one because I know that Rimo's he's been kind of Mr. Liversidge for quite a long time now over the years. I gave Liversidge and probably some fans in the West Yorkshire non-league area one of the best seasons, being unbeaten in the home at the Claiborne, getting promoted. There was one night I remember they played a Friday night, and I think they got over like nearly 1,200 there, which was unbelievable. So he's been there and really kind of revolutionised that club and brought them up to where they are now. Really well-run club, really welcome, really friendly, but also, despite that season when they did go up and did struggle, they just seemed to kind of do the right thing with good people and around. And Rimo's been a massive part of that. Listen, for all of us that go to games, we know him. You can hear him from the other side of the ground with the greatest respect. But I think, listen, it's one of those where maybe his time has just come to a natural end, and sometimes these things happen, and you've probably got to use that as, you look back with fond memories, but actually for Liversidge to possibly take on that next level, that next step, is possibly without him. And like you said, I know that did get announced, some really nice quotes and comments on social media about Remington's time there. And I think the interesting thing is now is who does take charge on official basis. We've still got Ryan Toulson there, John Deasy in charge.
Yeah, because they've nothing else has kind of come out since, and this is what's kind of throwing people. I think is that obviously since the announcement of his departure, there's been nothing to say who's necessarily taking caretaker charge. I mean, obviously, as you say, the backroom staff, so John Deasy, Ryan Toulson are there. Obviously, they've got some experienced players in some big signings as well. Look at Adam Clayton, who was one of the more recent signings. 12th in the table at the moment. As I say, I just think it was a very, it's caught a lot of people by surprise.
I think it'll be interesting to see who they do appoint. Like I say, to me, it just feels like it's just come to a natural end, and I don't think we seem. Listen, I'm not involved at Liversidge. I don't know the ins and outs, and don't pretend to. But I think it's one of those where they'll probably look back with quite a lot of fondness towards each other. Rimington's done a great job for Liversidge, and Liversidge have done a really good job for Rimington in his managerial career. And whether he goes into a new job at some point, he's going to stay in the game because you can tell he lives and breathes the game, this area. And got incredible contacts and knowledge about this scene around West Yorkshire and a little bit further beyond as well. So it's one of those where it will be interesting to see who they do appoint. I've not heard any rumblings, if I'm being honest, of who it could possibly be.
Brian Toulson was in the dugout for Saturday. Or he was the man listed as the coaching team anyway on their lineup tweet that they put out. They listed Ryan Toulson as a coaching team, so presumably an answer is Damien has just said John Deasy wasn't there, Ryan Toulson took charge. And he thinks that the performance levels that Liverpool's put in, at least, could give Tully the job full time. And obviously, we know a lot about Tully from his years at Gaius as a player and at Bradford Park Avenue as well for you, Lou. Yeah,
listen, I know Tully. Well, I know Deasy. I bumped into him on Wednesday and I had a great laugh with him. But and I know Tully really well. And Tully's a really good football guy. Knows what he wants. One of the most approachable people. Listen, he was, with all due respect, an absolute animal on the pitch was Tully. But and if he will get everything he possibly can do to squeeze every last bit of drop of energy from his players. And unfortunately, it just didn't really work out from Eccleshill. I think if he took the job on at Liversidge, I think it's a really good move for him personally. I think Liversidge going to get somebody who will be absolutely dedicated to that role and give everything he's got. And I think it does seem like it could potentially happen. It seems like it's a natural fit. But I think Toulson's probably wanting to carry on playing as well, like he has been doing. I've seen him a couple of times already in centre midfield. He does still a great job. Ironically, with age, he seemed to move backwards, but Toulson seems to move forwards. He used to be a right back and he's now centre midfield. So he's defying the laws of football in Italy. But listen, I think if Tully gets it, I think it'd be great. I know that he would definitely come and speak to us, knowing his contacts and knowing us really well. So, but listen, who knows? But I wouldn't imagine Liversidge will drag it on as long as they can do. I think what they'll do is they'll probably see out this weekend, I think, and maybe get an appointment ready for the weekend after.
Is Adam Clayton coaching there as well as playing?
Don't know, to be honest, mate. I've not seen him really do much coaching when I've watched him a couple of times. It's ironically been him and Tully in midfield. So, listen, it's an opportunity for somebody like Adam Clayton to start at a level which, let's be realistic, probably might be a little bit level in terms of coaching, a little bit further down than what they might anticipate. We've got to be realistic with that because he's been at the pro level, he's been as high as you can, hasn't he? But there might be an opportunity for him just to step in, maybe on an interim period, maybe until the end of the season, however they see fit, to maybe just gain a little bit of experience. And listen, whether John's there or not, again, bumped into him, and whether he stays around there, I've no idea, actually, to be honest. And his Toulson's there, but he might be learning off people in and around non-league that sometimes you might just a bit of a shoulder to lean on in case he did get something there. Just knows how to maybe work out opposition that he might not be potentially familiar with. Because let's be honest, he's not probably looked at the likes of Newton Aycliffe and Stocksbridge Park Seals before when he's been playing for Bradford City and Blackburn and Leeds against the rest of them. So I think I don't think it's a disaster. I think the result on Saturday shows how to give the eye even without Rimington in charge. He wasn't there, ironically, when Avenue played Liversidge earlier this season, and I don't think he was there when I went to watch Liversidge at Cleethorpes either. So it's not like he's not been around anyway. It's just one of those situations where I think it's just the way it is, and I can see Liversidge moving on really well.
Cool.
Let's move on then from the non-league scene. Thank you, Lewis, as always, for rounding up that the wide range that is the West Yorkshire non-league scene. Let's turn our attentions then to Huddersfield Town, Mr. Downs. And again, I don't think anyone called this in the predictions last week for the Huddersfield game. I think one of us, or two of us, did think that the Cobblers in Northampton Town might be tricky opposition. However, you didn't help yourselves.
Nope. No, we didn't. We played crap. Northampton. I did a show the other night with a Northampton Town fan and my good friend Josh Kirk. We discussed the game in length, and listen, full credit to them. They played really well. We just didn't turn up. We didn't respect the opposition, and we thought, it was going to be a bit of a cakewalk after beating Bolton 4-0 the previous weekend. The first goal
it's appeared, mate, that you took some tips from Bolton the week before as well.
Yes, I know it's funny, yes, and I had we obviously analysed the Bolton goal from Town's point of view, but Town's they're just balls up in defence. Browney's joined with his washing machine. Nice.
I was going to say,
that's
a
Browney. If you're
a lot of noise in that. Good grief.
If you're in the laundrette, mate, good job. Going back to the Town penalty. Not penalty. We'll get onto that. Yeah, the mistake. Listen, it's a balls up. God knows what Helix. He's obviously just not looked where Nichols is, and it is embarrassing.
Finished it beautifully.
I think the difference is, and it is a bit of a different goal, is that yes, they're both mistakes, but we put Bolton's keeper under great pressure, and yes, Northampton did have a bit of pressure there, but it was nowhere near the same as what Town were doing, and it actually our mistake is worse. So it's just a balls up, and we've seen it at Town. I've seen it many times at Town before. It's embarrassing, but do you know what? Set the tone for the game, Chris. That was the thing. Why did they do it?
No, hang on. No, I haven't finished yet. Why don't? Do you remember back in the day when we were young, when we'd have been like most of us teenagers, in Downsy's case, a child, when there was like blue for DVDs? Yeah, hey, that is a compliment. You're younger than the rest of us. When like there was like David Seaman's All-Star Bulls, that would be a DVD of howlers and gaffs and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because they don't exist nowadays. There is a whole, probably almost 2 generations of kids and teenagers and the like now that have no idea that they were in everybody's Christmas stocking every year with just a different form of professional player on the cover. And that goal would have been perfect for it.
No, you just got social media to worry about. It's fine. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, just a millions of clicked up scenes that it'll get on Twitter, which it has done, to be fair. Listen, like I've seen it at Town before. It was just a crap way to open the game, and like I say, it set the tone for the rest of the match. The second goal is horrendous as well, defended. The fact that he just was able to run through like he did. Tom Lees was never going to keep up with Fosu. Got hold of the ball, passed it back to McGeehan, who slid it in. Just, again, crap defending, not good enough. Gets to half-time, you think, right, let's just have a reset now. Let's have a think. Come out the second half and really go at Northampton, who, according to Josh and my knowledge, they do tend to crumble if you put them under a bit of pressure. Just none of that. Third goal happened. I mean, Sorensen's just too weak. Like, I have to disagree with Duff, who thought it was a foul in the press conference afterwards. It's not a foul in my. I mean, Josh, to be fair, on the review, he said he could understand why it would have been given, but I just think Sorensen's just soft and unfortunately either slips or just doesn't put his body in the right position. Fosu goes through, and I think Lee Nichols, I'll be honest, he's more bothered about telling the referee afterwards that it was a foul because he slipped it through his legs. It was terrible ability to try and save the ball. So it's an all-round bad day. Joe Hodge was the only one that came out with any credit. Karoma scored for Town, and then missed a penalty, and it was a terrible penalty. awful. My penalty was better at Bradford Park Avenue at Aviefest. So everything that could go wrong, as Duff said in his press conference, and he reiterated today before tomorrow's game against Blackpool, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And yes, the referee was crap, but it's League One, so what do you expect? Any questions
go.
from anybody?
Is it? Oh, I was going to say, moving on to that one that Terrier 930's put in there in terms of soft mentality. Do you think it's one of those, and it's such a fine line in it at football? A bad day at the office, kind of put it in a bin, forget it even happened, or is it a little bit of a concern that on Saturday?
There's been a soft underbelly through some of the games, Lou, to be fair. I think the best performance obviously was Bolton. I think against Stevenage and Shrewsbury, which were both home games, there was a bit of a soft mentality and we got away with it. But we didn't get away with it on Saturday, and the players just didn't turn up. And if you have too many players on an off day, that's it. You lose the fixture, don't they? Northampton were up for the game. They come into what they perceive were one of the favourites for the league. I think everybody at the start of the season predicted Northampton to be in the bottom three. They're doing better than what they expected. This result obviously helped them. But it was just a clear statement of they were up for the game, Lou, and we were. And I agree with Duff 100% when he says that you've got to be up for games. It's all right going and beating Bolton 4-0 and sort of being cockaroo about it. But then when you go to lose against Northampton and by such a scoreline and have such a performance, it is a worry. Yeah, I agree. You know, the fixtures that we've got coming up, they don't get any easier, but there should be winnable games. And it's a slight concern, but all this rubbish about Duff don't know what he's doing and all of it. Like, some Town fans need to give their head a shake. You know, like, end of the day, we've won 5 out of 6 games. We've lost one. We've had dodgy performances. Yes, I agree in some of the performances that we've had, but we're still up there. We're 5th in the league. Like, we're keeping pace. All right, Birmingham and Wrexham are, going away at the top, but we're keeping pace for where I think people would have expected. And you're not going to win every game, although I do accept that you probably need to win 85% of your fixtures to get promoted out of this league. I think. Is it people already murmuring about Duff? I think there's some suggestion of the only reason really is that Darren Moore played 3-5-2, but it was more like 5-3-2. So we've seen a very similar system against a manager that is, comes from the same sort of thinking. But the difference is with Darren Moore, we played 5 at the back, 3 midfield, and 1 up front because Bergdorf didn't really do anything. And so you've got at times a very, very defensive Town mentality playing very poorly in the Championship, which you're going to lose many games doing. Duff's come in, he's changed the whole attitude of the club. We've had a great pre-season. We've come into League One with some positivity. And at the first strike of it going wrong, as usual, some Town fans have the mentality of, it's doom and gloom. It was a rubbish performance. You're going to have crap performances. Like, you can't just have a stellar 4-0 performance every game. But as Duff said, and Tom Lee said this today, it can either go two ways now. One way it can become a trend, and we could turn up tomorrow against Blackpool, have another crap performance and lose. Same on Saturday away at Reading. Or they can go out, they can prove people wrong, they can start again and properly put in a proper performance and show what they're about in this league. Because that's what we did at Bolton, and nobody expected us to go beat Bolton 4-0.
Let's look at a couple of the comments there. As we mentioned, Terry 930 earlier said we have too much of a soft mentality. Unfortunately, favourite for us again tomorrow night against Blackpool going. He says 0-2 with Ballard and Rhodes to score for Blackpool. And then James, you take on this, he says we needed a plan B other than wing backs. It's boring to say, but it's obvious.
Yeah, well, in a 3-5-2 system, the way that Duff plays, your wing backs are probably your most important players on the pitch because if they're not doing their job properly, the whole sort of midfield area becomes like a blancmange where they don't really know what to do. And it becomes a bit of a sticky mess in there, and
back.
People don't know their jobs necessarily. He stuck with the same formation at not formation, sorry, because he'll always stick with that. Stuck with the same team away at Bolton. We obviously won. He then said, right, well, I'm going to stick with the same team bar Mikael Miller, who had an injury. So Jaheim Headley came in. And I like Jaheim, but he had a terrible performance. Everybody did. And so Jaheim had a bad performance at left wing back. Sorensen had a terrible performance at right wing back, or the other way around. And so the midfield was the same from the Bolton game, and it clearly couldn't cope. Joe Hodge came on in midfield, made a big difference apparently, was the best player on the pitch, and he was a substitute. Now I can see tomorrow, a home game against Blackpool again, I think he'll pick a bit of a different team tomorrow. I can't see that same team being put out again, unless he makes the point, right, you lost it at Northampton, go out and fix it against Blackpool.
You're muted, Chris.
I am. I just realised the last second. See if you've thrown me with your Blancmange reference there, to be honest, Steve. Like other 1970 desserts, I'm sure, are available for people. Let's see if you can make more of an artsy roll out of it tomorrow night. Roll on tomorrow, eh?
Roll on tomorrow, mate. Roll on tomorrow. It might be a Swiss roll, you never know. But Jordan Rhodes and obviously Don Ballard are coming up against. Rhodes we let go in the summer. Normally scores against Town when we play against him.
And Don Ballard.
Well, Don Ballard we were interested in, and then we signed Callum Marshall, so he'll probably score against us. Steve Bruce is coming back to us 24 years after he left, so he'll probably score against us. Stick one in at back post, won't he? A la 1992. So it might be a bit of a negative display tomorrow. You never know. Listen, the lads have got to turn up, and we've got to beat Blackpool. And then we've got to go away to a poor Reading side and beat them. They got smashed at weekend. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting 2 games.
I'm just going to say on the fans' mutterings, Downsy, I think that's probably to be expected. Like it's just because your expectation, because you've come down from the division above, you're expected to at least be up in the playoff zone, which you are. I know you are in the playoff zone, but they don't. Fans just are shocked when you lose a game at home to someone like Northampton when you've come down from the division above. And like you say, I think it all comes back to how you react tomorrow night. And if you get a result tomorrow night, it's quickly forgotten this Saturday and you move on.
Yeah, 100%, guys. If we go out and beat Blackpool 3-0, 3-1 or whatever tomorrow, and it's a cracking performance and every player's on it, Saturday just becomes a blip, doesn't it?
Exactly.
But I agree with what Tom Lee says. It could become an early fork in the road if it goes either way. Steve Bruce has won his first 2 games in charge. By all accounts, they were good performances, so they're coming in with a lot of confidence tomorrow. But listen, it's midweek, innit? You know, players don't like travelling midweek, do they? So we'll
come
see.
off! It's not far though, is it? I mean, you're only going to the seaside.
Well. No, well, they're coming over to Huddersfield, so they better bring their ice cream and their, the sandcastles if they're going to get a win at the John Smith Stadium.
Bring a couple of them donkeys off the beach.
Well, if they could bring some of them, then that'd make it a much easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Browney's still in his washing machine.
What does it sound like? Does it sound like I'm?
Oh, Browney!
Starting the group earlier.
That sounds worse than my train journey.
That sounds horrendous. I mean, we'll come back to Browney in
tomorrow.
In a little while.
Like
let's just knock through the predictions then for Huddersfield Town. If you're at the ready, Lou, to make notes of these. Gaz, Huddersfield versus Blackpool tomorrow night, and then was it away at Reading on
away
Saturday?
At Reading? Yeah.
2 games for you to predict there then.
A draw tomorrow night, 1 apiece. A win against Reading, 2-0.
There we go. Mr. Downs?
I'll back the boys to perform tomorrow. So I'll go for a customary Stephen Downs 2-1 victory to Huddersfield. And then I'll go for a brave 3-0 away at Reading, because I just think Reading are one of them clubs where they've performed well in some games and then performed absolutely abysmal in others. So yeah.
Is it still Ruben Sellers there?
But he came out with some interesting comments. He came out with some interesting comments today, where the takeover bid for Reading has now fallen through from that guy.
Yeah,
so he's come out as Ruben Sellers, and he says that basically he's given up trying to think of any hope of how the club are going to get out of the mess. So that's a really bad start to their week, and if that it could get worse for Reading. I'll be honest.
There's a real potential there, though, that actually those words might have a galvanizing effect. Actually, it might not be quite.
Yeah, it could. It could
in terms of on the pitch. Obviously, off the pitch, it is a mess. And look, I remember when we had Johnny on in our League One preview. He was very downbeat about the whole situation at the club, and at the time, it looked like things were going to improve for Reading. Obviously, that's the worst kind of fears have come through from that. This takeover by the ex-Wickham owner appears to have fallen through. But I guess Ruben Sellers, all he can do is on the pitch is try and use his words, try and galvanise things. And as you say, they have turned out some good performances this season, albeit it wasn't one on Saturday, or it did score an absolute belter and gets to see Reading's second goal in that defeat.
The fans, it's the fans though, Chris. So yes, he might be able to say words that will inspire the players, but if the fans from the off, who have got a right to protest, start chucking tennis balls and God knows what else onto the pitch because of their anger due to the owner, that sets the tone for them for the day, doesn't it? And that's kind of what I'm hoping. So listen, I don't want Reading to be in the position that they're in. Fantastic football club, with the matches that we've had in the past. A lot of respect for Reading fans with the playoff final and everything that we played them against. Nothing but bad words to them, really. But I kind of hope on Saturday it's kind of a storm for them and we can just go there and concentrate on what we need to do, which is Duff's very good at doing. Sorry, I interrupted predictions there.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Lou, what are you going to go for the predictions? You're muted as well.
No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not.
It's
I think Town will get 6 points out of this. I'm not convinced by Steve Bruce at Blackpool.
You wouldn't be.
And I think Town will win 1-0. I think Downs makes a really, really good point, actually. The Reading situation. It could be quite toxic depending on how that goes. Hopefully things do go off peacefully and you actually do get a game of football underway, but if that is the case, depending on the situation there, that's not great, is it, if you're a football fan of Reading Football Club? So I actually don't disagree. I think Town could probably win that 3-1. I could see a late consolation for Reading. But I think if you're Michael Duff and the guys there, you'd be looking at these two games and getting back on track. But the mutterings about Duff is absolutely baffling, in my opinion, if that is the case to some people. But hey, that's football fans.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw for tomorrow night between Huddersfield and Blackpool, and then I will go for a 1-0 Huddersfield win on Saturday at Reading. Steve, are you going to be speaking? Are you going to be doing a Town preview show this week, Downsy, or
muted?
He's mute. He muted himself as well, so he's got his only himself to blame.
I think we are doing a show tomorrow with the usual crew, but just stay tuned. Depends if they can be bothered to turn up.
I mean,
not tomorrow, Wednesday. I meant Wednesday.
I was going to say you'll be looking ahead to the Reading game. I mean, I'm hoping that you can get Johnny back on from the Reading perspective as well, because he was. I mean, I was about to say he was really downbeat, but a really good guest to have on that preview show.
Yeah.
Sadly, he might feel even worse right now, given the situation at Reading now with the takeover falling through.
Yeah.
Brownie, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah,
What do I
you don't
sound
sound like you're being run over by a freight train, so that's all positive.
Yes.
Are we going back for predictions for Brownie?
We are. I was going to say we'll
yeah,
quickly
go.
predictions. Let's start with Huddersfield Town whilst we're here. For Huddersfield, you've got Huddersfield versus Blackpool tomorrow night, and then
1-0.
Reading versus Huddersfield on Saturday.
All right, so I'm going 1-0 Town against Blackpool, but then I'm actually going to go for a Reading win at the weekend. Just really, you know what I mean, fire up the debate.
Brownie's got no context to any of these games, which I absolutely love.
To be fair,
hour.
Honestly, there's a part of me that I could see Reading causing an upset because football and because of the way things have gone, the fans. But actually, I'm going to bring this comment up as well from Terry 930. Is that it could be Blackpool. Remember when they had their financial difficulties and the protests? So just with the old boy doing donuts in his mobility scooter in the centre circle. I mean, I dread to think what Reading fans have got planned protest-wise, if anything, off the back of the news this week.
So just a quick one on that, just before Brownie goes to whoever we're going to next. On the Blackpool game, that was a couple of seasons ago. And,
remember it well.
Basically, it was one of the only ever Football League fixtures not to be completed, and therefore Town and Blackpool theoretically never ended that season because the game was abandoned and never replayed, and the fans never got the money back. And
what Blackpool was the score at the time?
So the score, I believe it was only 0-0 because it was quite early. I could be wrong. Somebody might put me wrong. I think it was a draw. Was it 1-1 or 0-0? It was a really, but they'd had a stoppage in the game. They'd gone off because Lee Clark was in charge at the time, which made it even more hilarious because obviously he was our ex-manager. And they came back onto the pitch, and then they only played about another 20 minutes, I think, and then the fans just all went on, and there was the remaining image is just this guy in a mobility scooter. Like, if you can just imagine doing donuts in the middle of the pitch, going about 20 miles an hour on his thing. Honestly, and then, so it's one of them sort of memories that we all live with as Town fans. Listen, nobody wants to see anything, but we were fighting for our lives as well. We have to remember that. You know, I think, pretty sure Chris Powell was a Town manager at the time.
I've just Googled it. It was 0-0 at the time, and it was declared 0-0.
Yeah, it was declared 0-0. In Town, in the table standings, it says that we did complete the season, but really, theoretically, neither us or Blackpool did, actually, in my opinion.
Well, there we go. Brownie, before we go on to Leeds, let's just go back to the Bradford City. They've got Harrogate Town away on Saturday, and your chance to make your prediction for that one.
I fancy a 2-0 to City there. Some good news for you guys.
No,
there we go.
Not that my prediction.
I was going to say, anything, but... this needs to be a new Twitter page, doesn't it? No Context Brownie, because he has no idea that we were talking about how Bradford have got about 4 players that are actually fit and available now. So there we go.
I take it back. 2-0 Harrogate, actually.
No, I'll
stick with it.
Too late, locked in.
Brownie, we just need... Gaz is playing left back. Brownie, we just need Emily, Geisley, Stockbridge score, like Liversidge.
Can I just do like 1-0, copy, paste, all?
Oh, it doesn't work like that. In fact, that's a disrespect to lose non-league.
Did you do predictions for it?
No. He's winding you up, and you nearly took the bait there. How are you, mate, for a start? Are you well?
Good, yeah, good. Doing better than most Leeds fans, by the sound of it, anyway, after a win. Unbelievable. I don't know if you guys have caught wind of kind of the reaction to Saturday's win over Cardiff. I mean, me and Jason did the post-match, and kind of immediately comments were coming in. I don't know if Gavin's watching tonight. I hope you're watching, Gavin, but drop us a comment if you are. But Gavin was particularly voice for us on the post-match video. A lot of fans are not happy. And I don't remember so many fans being unhappy when you've won a game. It's remarkable.
I was going to ask because I was on the way back from Eastleigh on Saturday, traveling back from near enough Southampton, had 606 on, and unusually they actually took a Championship fan, and it was a Leeds fan who, I mean, he sounded like he had way too many pints, to be honest, for a start. And then he was unhappy, and then they took another Leeds fan about half an hour or so later on, and he was unhappy too. And we were like, well, they've won like 2-0 away at Cardiff, who we've always had that bit of needle with over the years. So, why?
Well, we've
never had... somebody's knocking at the door for Browney, by the way. Just to let you know.
It seems that way, Gavin might be.
Good man, Gavin. Have you changed your mind yet, Gavin? Are you going to say it was a good game yet?
I feel like this is Steve v. Gavin. We've just turned into Steve.
No, it was Gavin versus Jason. I think on the video.
The actual game itself, and then why is there this hysteria?
Yeah, it's crazy because I'm quite a pessimistic fan at the best of times. I'm kind of, I can be quite negative a little bit, overly so, just kind of cautiously optimistic, I guess. But I'm kind of a bit gobsmacked to the reaction to this. The game in itself, so we had Ramazani come in for his debut, his first full debut. Obviously, he's the big signing from the summer. Scores a goal on his debut, looks lively. Great. That's a tick in the box. You can't get better than that, really, a debut goal. And it was just comfortable. It was complete domination. Cardiff were absolutely abysmal. You can see why they're at the bottom of the league, and they've bulleted the manager. Had to be done. You can see that they were. Yeah, sorry, mate. And they were absolutely terrible. And Leeds turned up, controlled the game completely, very comfortable. Got the lead in the first half. Never looked in danger. Missed a penalty. It could have even been more comfortable, and then get the goal. Towards the end, easy as you like, straightforward. Just what we needed. Comfortable game. Was it a bit boring at times? Maybe. Yeah, you could argue that. I mean, we've all seen those games where you're just so superior. I mean, it's like not to compare, but when Man City play, I don't know, Bournemouth or something at home, and it's just so routine and so easy that it is a bit boring. It is a bit boring, but I don't know what else, what other approach would we have wanted to this game? Kamikaze, risk it all football for what? Why? So I've done kind of 180 on kind of Farke ball and everything. Because I had my doubts in the summer. You lads will know. I had doubts about him. And
you seem to have about a fortnight ago, mate.
Yeah, true, to be honest. But I think for anyone who didn't catch Farke's press conference last week, for me that it was a great press conference. I've accused Farke of making excuses and this kind of thing before, but I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely spot on what he said in relation to the tactics, and he wasn't happy with what happened in the Burnley game in the last half an hour, which was good. That was good to hear. I just think, if you make a change now, what are you going to do? Who are you going to bring in? Why would you do that now? If you're going to make a change, do it in the summer where a new guy can implement his style and get the players and he wants. I don't know. I just think I can't believe the reaction to it. I really can't believe the reaction to it. I'm staggered.
What was the argument for it, Brownie? Why are they reacting like this?
Well, as Gavin says,
but that's not Farke. That's not Farke. I mean, missing so many chat. That is a concern. The big concern at the minute is putting the ball in the back of the net. I mean, we missed a penalty, for God's sake. You can't get a more obvious chance than that. What I have noticed about Leeds is, and I was thinking about this today, we don't do kind of half chances. We seem to only create kind of really clear-cut chances, and we might create 4 or 5 a game, and we're only putting the ball in the net once or twice. I get the accusations a little bit. People thinking, why aren't we kind of having more shots on goal? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? Our style is, we kind of build up to create kind of the best chance possible. I mean, Aronson had one on a plate the other day. Ramazani should have had another one. Like I say, we had the penalty. We create these clear-cut chances, but we're not efficient in goal at the minute. That's a concern, but I think I don't know. I don't get the position of, I'm annoyed with it because we create loads of chances and don't score. Yes, that's a frustration, but isn't it a good thing we're creating these chances?
It would be more frustrating if you weren't creating chances and we're doing sod all.
Absolutely.
Or
I mean, we had
any of them away, but you scored two.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with Gavin. It's frustrating when you see so many chances spurned. And my concern at the minute is the striker. He scored one goal, Joseph. And I don't know about you, but and I've mentioned this to Jason as well. I feel like strikers can very quickly get a reputation between being clinical and strikers who just can't hit a barn door. We all remember Timo Werner when he came in at Chelsea, and as soon as he kind of get that reputation of not being able to, take a chance, it sticks.
Like
Pardon? What?
No, I'm joking.
Absolute pillock. Leads his own mind. Leads his own Haaland.
On a serious note, Brownie, though, do you actually think that? Right, so this is going to sound bad coming from a Town fan, but do you think that Leeds fans create melodramas just because they enjoy watching the drama? Like you said, after a win and getting back to the last few performances, which I understood the criticism for, right? That's as much as that you were wanting, really, a win, wasn't it?
Yeah,
this
is it. There's a little bit of you that wonders about that. Because
is that a fair comment, though?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's fair because, and I think it's going to be like this all season. I think anytime we drop points, there's going to be major questions raised, and it's not healthy. Really, it's not a healthy environment. I think. I mean, people have talked about the atmosphere at Leeds, and Jason went against Burnley, and I know a couple of people that went, and the atmosphere was flat as a pancake. And it I feel like this kind of expectation, or this almost just, we turn up and we should be winning games 3-4-0. It's just unhealthy. It's not realistic. It's not.
Football doesn't work like that for any club. Like even for those at the top of the Premier League, football doesn't work like that. Look at Forest the other week winning at Anfield. It's football, and that isn't how it happens. Some days it's just one of those days, and you have a freak result, and actually, I wouldn't say you've suffered any freak results this season, really, even when there's been below par performances.
Pompey was.
Yeah,
I'm not being funny. A 3-3 draw, though, it's not like a 1-0 defeat against. If it was a 1-0 loss like last season to a club like Rotherham United, for example, smallest side in the Championship or whatever, fair enough. But a draw against like Portsmouth.
Yeah, but they've just come up, Chris.
Doesn't matter. Size of club, size of expectation of the club.
That means
it's still nowhere near. It's still nowhere near, though.
Brownie, did you expect to be?
Hang on, Downs here. It's still nowhere near like Forest going to Anfield and winning. It's just not.
No, but Pompey came to Leeds. Pompey have only just come up to the Championship after 15 years, or God knows where it is away from it. Leeds are looking to not just get promoted, but probably win the league. I think that's a fair comment. And they've had a decent coming off the back of all right. The transfer window at the time was still going, but you expected to beat Pompey, didn't you, Brownie? I think the majority of Leeds fans did, and it was disappointing. Yeah. You were disappointed that you didn't.
Yeah, no. I think that's I was disappointed with it. Yeah, I think it's it was one of those results where Farke must have just been banging his head against a brick wall, because there was a lot of kind of attention on him, and has he got it in him to get us up this season? And it was kind of such a chaotic game. It was, I think, almost the seed was planted there, and I think fans are now jumping on any bit of negativity towards Farke to try and drive that narrative home that actually he's not really up to this. And I'm guilty of that as well. I absolutely am guilty of that. I have questioned Farke's tactics. There's things now that I look at and I go, not quite right. His use of substitutions and all this kind of thing. But fundamentally, I think if you're complaining or if you're not happy when you've won 2-0 and it's been an absolute cakewalk. I mean, the analogy I'd use is it's like, Monday morning, when you're working Monday morning, it's just get through it, isn't it? You just just get through this Monday, just get through this Monday. And that's what it was like playing Cardiff. We're 6 or 7 games in. It's just get the win, get it chalked up, move on. There's going to be a lot of stuff there's going to be a lot more trying tests later down the line. We don't need to kind of waste this amount of energy talking about this game and kind of micro-analysing every nook and cranny of it. And I think, are we spoiled? I think possibly. I think it's, I think it's the expectations are just through the roof. And look, I've said at the start of the season, minimum has to be promotion. That's it. We've got a top 2 wage bill in the league, and this kind of thing. But I just, football is football, and weird things can happen. But when you've won, when you've won, come on.
I mean, I know Gaz has got a couple of points. So I'm just going to reiterate, it doesn't work like that, does it? You could have the biggest budget in the league and have the smallest budget in the league. Football doesn't work like that. Sorry, Gaz, go on.
No, it's that word, isn't it? It's that word again, the key word. It's expectation, and we know about it at Bradford. We're constantly expected to do better than we are, really. And even when it might be a case of there might be mitigating circumstances, but even if there isn't, even if it's a case of you've just had a bad result, and we talked about it on here last week, didn't we, with Farker, and we said, and I think you've said it again tonight, Brown, this noise is going to come up every time. It might not even be, you didn't even get a bad result, but they're just not happy with not taking chances. You draw a game that you think maybe we should have won, or do you know what I mean? This is going to happen all season, isn't it? I feel you're in that situation now with Farker, where the noise is so loud that every time the slightest thing happens, this noise these comments are going to be made, aren't they? And it feels a little bit like I spoke to Downsy about it before when he was on about the Northampton game and the reaction about Duff, and it's just because fans expected to win the game, and you've just got to think that, like Chris said, these things happen. Sometimes there might be mitigating circumstances, but even if there isn't, these results happen, and you haven't even had a bad result at the end of the day.
Well, that's exactly, Gaz. That's my point.
Missed a couple of chances.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. It's so true. Yeah, go on, Steve. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just going to say that you made that point, Gaz, and you made it really well in our chat about Town. The difference is that we lost a game, we played crap. Yeah. And all right, I agree with Lou, by the way, that Duff doesn't deserve some of the stuff that's been said. But the fact is that Leeds won a game comfortably against bottom of the league, and who's now fired their manager. It just blows my mind how any Leeds fan can look at that as a bad thing to happen.
I think you're probably looking at a bigger kind of cultural phenomenon around football and social media, and the fact that, I mean, I don't know about you, but, football back in the day, it was, you'd watch the game at the weekend, and then, you might play a bit with your mates, in the park or whatever on the street. And there wasn't all this kind of continuous debate and chatter around it. Obviously, social media now, it's a 24/7 news cycle, and, people are wanting to create content out of Leeds constantly because they know it gets clicks, and we're just smash a like on the video if you haven't already. But it's that kind of thing where it's just trying to fill that gap, I think. And one of the comments here from James, I think he's hit the nail on the head there, where he says Leeds fans do fear a decline, and the fact that we're in the second year of our parachute payments, and once that opportunity is gone, it's very, very hard to climb back up. Obviously, we've got the announcement today for the stadium expansion as well, so the plans seem to be going forward to move up to 53,000. So that's a positive thing. But it's funny, the club announced it, and kind of the first comment I saw on Twitter was someone replying to it saying something like, "Oh, this is going to make the atmosphere even worse." It's really? Like the first kind of thing that I saw. It's like a negative comment about it, and it's so there's no pleasing some people. But
that point that James made was actually the second one that I was going to make afterwards. It's the desperation, isn't it? After last season, fans are just so desperate, they're absolutely petrified that it's going to happen again, and what the knock-on effects of that will be next season. And I think it's with the expectation and that fear together, it just creates this noise every time something doesn't go quite right.
Yeah, well, this is it. I think as well, there's a feeling, certainly what I think is unfulfilled kind of promise that we had when we got to the Premier League. It wasn't supposed to be a 3-year stay. We were supposed to be the next kind of Brighton or, whoever you want to look at, even Villa. That's kind of, what was supposed to happen. That's where we would have thought we would have been by now. Instead, it all went wrong. The wheels fell off, and we got punished, and we're back in the division below. And it's that fear of, oh God, we had our chance, we had our moment in the sun, and now we're back in the dark of the Championship. And is it going to be another 20 years before we get back? Yeah, exactly.
It can get worse.
Last week, didn't we, as well? That
Roll on League One Leeds.
Not again, please.
That fear last week, like we've touched on now, but also there's the constant acknowledgement that gap between the Premier League and the Championship just seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And if it's almost as though the last couple of years, it might not have happened. I'm not going to say it has, but the three teams that went up are almost. It's getting to the stage that they're just almost certain to come back down, and 100%. You're just worried that if you don't get up sooner, you're not going to be able to ever get there on a permanent basis. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Angus Kinnear, who was the chief executive, he did an interview on the Square Ball podcast, and he was saying, if we get promoted, the amount of churn that there would need to be in the squad just to try and compete, just to try and stay up. I mean, you look at the Premier League this year, you got Southampton down there, Ipswich. I mean, Ipswich still waiting for that first win. I don't know what kind of the mood of their fans is, but it's that, wow, we're in the Premier League, and then the reality bites, and it's like, well, how are you going to stay in this league? And it's becoming a bit of a closed shop, it feels like, a little bit. So, yeah, pressure's on. It's going to be on, and let's do ourselves a favour. Let's not react like this when we win a game of football. Yeah. Let's help ourselves a bit. Jesus.
Before we come on to the expansion news, I just want to kind of touch on a couple of Gavin's points here. I mean, again, I don't quite know what. I kind of know what he's driving here in the fact that, West Brom on top, having spent £1 million, not helping. How? Like, how is... I get it. I know what you're kind of saying, but frankly, it's irrelevant. Like, every other club's business is their own prerogative. Leeds fans can't be shitting themselves over what every other club are doing. The fact that West Brom have spent £1 million and Leeds have what? Minus 116, but actually, in the grand scheme of things, you've spent a hell of a lot of money in the recruitment in the last fortnight of the window, really, to get the players in combined.
Yeah,
I just don't get why this thing, especially this point of West Brom. I mean, it don't make sense.
No, I mean, the thing with we made a lot of money this summer. What we were supposed to do, spend it all. Like, you can't do it. Our parachute payments are next to nothing next year. We can't go out and spend everything that we've earned this year. For me, the investment's been absolutely spot on for the price and everything like that.
What's the combined total, though, roughly, of the players that have come in? Just the in.
I mean, you got Rodon was 10. Tanaka was about 2.
3.5. 3. Yeah, 3.
Ramazani was 11. You might be getting up to like 30, which for a championship team, who's spending 30 really, and if we went and spent 3 times that and we don't go up, what happens next season then? Where do you go from there? So how far do you roll the dice? Really, how much do you gamble on something like that? So I get what he's saying, and obviously the West Brom with the Corberan thing, like Jason has said, if Carlos Corberan was, someone who hadn't worked with Marcelo Bielsa, would Leeds fans even be thinking about this guy? And I don't think they would.
Chance.
And we'll see where we're at in 10 games. It's early days. It's 6 odd games or whatever. So West Brom, great. We know Corberan's a really good coach at this level, and we'll just wait and see.
Lou?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's probably a point that I'd like to make probably after Browney talks about the expansion stuff, which got announced today. Listen, I think it slightly bizarre when you get some comments after a win, and you guys joke at me sometimes because I do stick up a little bit for Leeds United, even though I'm not a Leeds United fan.
Yes, you are.
but what I actually but I actually think Leeds some comments are fair, because this sounds very kind of egotistical, but it's Leeds United, and in fairness, one of the biggest clubs in England, and should probably be playing in the Premier League. And when they lose a game, probably are feeling rightly so that they've got to microanalyze and go into quite a bit of negativity and in detail about it. So listen, after a 2-0 win, I get it. It seems a little bit off. But when there is scrutiny after the loss, like the other week, and there's a little bit of downness about it, I get it. Because Leeds United should be at the top of the league. They should probably, and I know what you're saying, Chris, but Leeds United should be getting promoted out of the Championship. End. Simple. Period. That should be it. Their squad is better than everybody else's squad in this division. No. So if you're a support, it is. But if you're a supporter of Leeds United at the moment, it is in the Championship. It's like Birmingham City feel like they've got a right to get out of League One. Absolutely, they should. Leeds United probably feel they've got a right to get out of the Championship. Absolutely, they should. And some opinions can go a little bit too far, but I get why some of these comments do come out. And it goes quite negative because they've got the team and the capabilities to get out of this division, and they should be. The difference is, the point you made earlier, is that next step to the Premier League. Absolutely, it's getting bigger, and that jump is massive. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure whether Farke is a person to do that. But what I'm saying is, at this moment in time, Leeds United should be getting promoted out of the Championship. Simple.
And I get that, Lou.
Once again, Ryan speaks the sense, by the way. Leeds fans should be ashamed of themselves these last 2 weeks. You'd think the club was in turmoil. Some people need to analyse the last 20 years and realise they're in a good place. Thank you, Ryan, as always, for being the sensible voice of Leeds United.
But can I just...
So, sorry, Downsy, can I just come back a little bit just based on what I've just said?
I want to come back at you, though, after that.
That's fine. That's fine. Completely fair from Ryan. I get that, right? But it's also like the here and now. So there's a little bit of going back and going, they've had it tough, and you never want your club to get in that position. We'll talk about Reading. I get that. And listen, the club isn't in turmoil. It's probably never been as healthy off a pitch that has been at the moment for quite a while. Yeah. But it's also to be really important at this moment in time. Leeds United fans rightly expect to get out of the Championship.
But there is no
what else is to it? There's nothing else to it.
Yeah, but can I come back with my point, right? So I get what you're saying, Lou. I do get what you're saying. But half an hour ago, we agreed that the criticism for Duff was absolutely nonsensical. Yeah. And we lost 3-1. Now you're saying that Leeds fans, I know they're different in different leagues and in different circumstances, but Huddersfield want to get out of want to get out of the League One. And we expect to get out of League One. Yeah, and you're saying that the criticism for Duff is not worthy, which I agree with. But then on the second hand, you're saying the criticisms by Leeds fans after the victory is
no, I didn't. No, I didn't.
You just said that you could understand them.
I said the comments after the victory are off, in my opinion, because a win's a win. That's all you want as a football fan. The situations are very different between Leeds United and Huddersfield. Duff has only just walked in through the door. Farke has been there a season already. And in the grand scheme of things in football world at this moment in time, a season's a long time. Now, don't get me wrong. In any other season, Leeds United get promoted last season. That's fair enough. And they got outdone by Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich. And Ipswich being that, in inverted commas, the one that's come from nowhere. But Leeds United probably still should have got promoted out of that division last season. Regardless of what people say, Ipswich had a wow of a season. Leeds United should have done. But they didn't because Ipswich were better than Leeds and they deserve to go up out of this. But the difference between what I'm saying about Huddersfield and Leeds is that Duff has probably only been there, 3 months? Farke has had a year in charge. His recruitment has been okay. I wouldn't say it's been earth-shattering. I think it's been okay. I think he'll probably get Leeds probably just out of the Championship. Do I think he's the right person to take Leeds United? The next step is what they probably think they should do. And if you're going to throw the whole historical, nostalgic club stuff into it, do I think he's a man that can take Leeds United that next step to be an established Premier League team, which probably should be going back in history? At this moment in time, but not. I don't think so.
But they might not make it anyway. But I'm not thinking now, though, that the same applies, though. In stature, size of club, whatever, with fan base for, Leeds should be getting to Premier League. You can throw that at freaking Bradford for the last 6 years or whatever in League Two. Bradford should be top. But that isn't how football works.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Graham Alexander's been in charge for almost a year, Gaz. if I'm right in that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
By this logic, he should have Bradford top 2 at the moment.
No, listen, I agree, but you've also got to realise the resource that Leeds United have got available to this moment in time compared to everyone else around them. So it's all right to say it could happen to Bradford, it could happen at Huddersfield, but actually Leeds United at the moment, off the field, are in a completely different stratosphere to Huddersfield and Bradford City.
They are still the biggest club. They've still got the biggest money for the club, though, in respect to the division.
Bradford have not got the most money in League Two. Not at all. Not by
We're in a completely different planet.
And that's why I always come in with this about Bradford and the expectation, and I try and sort of remain balanced, because some of it is fair, some of the criticisms are fair, and yes, we should be doing better than we are, but a lot of them aren't, because the budget is not what. Well, Leeds have the biggest, I presume, I might be wrong, biggest budget in the Championship.
Yeah. I mean, you're competing against obviously the teams that have been relegated, but in terms of salary, we're paying the highest wages. Which is
Bradford, you're talking top 6, top 8. Bradford, you're talking top 6, top 8, I'm told.
Yeah, City's City hasn't got a pot to piss in. Huddersfield,
they do, but
we got a bigger pot to piss in, but not by much. And Leeds have got a ginormous pot to piss in.
How many teams like Leeds United this season could lose Archie Gray, Rutter, who else has gone? Sorry, Somerville, and replace them with a quality of players that they've done. Who else could do that outside?
I agree.
There's no proof yet that they have replaced them with quality players yet. They've been playing 3 games since the window shut.
Okay, so fair play. They're relatively improving at this level, but when you look at who they play from what they've done at the previous clubs, there's not many teams outside the Premier League could replace those quality players with the calibre of players that they've been brought in. And that is up to Farker to get a tune out of them to get promoted. Simple as that. Leeds United, with this squad and the resources that they've got available, should be getting promoted at the end of this season. If it's not, it's a massive failure.
I 100% agree with that. But can I just say, I 100% agree with that statement that Lou said. And me and Jason both sat on our season preview show and went, yeah, Leeds have to get up. That is the minimum expectation. In terms of the criticism, is that just? Is that fair? I've been critical of Farker numerous times already this season. And I think there is a lot of question marks. And we should have the highest standards and the highest expectations. But for me, especially with this game, we've crossed this line of just kind of it's pointless. We've won the game. There's just no, there's nothing there to debate for me. It's a win. We chalk it up, and it's almost I worry about if the noise becomes so big, if the atmosphere in Ellen Road's been affected because of this kind of thing. That is going to impact performances. That's going to impact us on the pitch. And
you guys have said it. And you guys have said it, and we've said it on this podcast before. And this sounds really harsh, but you've kind of got to forget about the Bielsa days in terms of the here and now. You put them in the memory box and you put it in the side of your bedroom and open it up when you want a little bit of nostalgia and a bit of cheering up, and you go, "Oh, that was nice. That was right good time with that." And then you close it. I know you will. And when you close it, apparently I will. And then you'll forget it until another 6 months down the line when you get a little bit more down and you open it and go, "Oh, it's fair again." The here and now is about Farker. Now, like I said, if you're a board and Farker could completely prove me wrong and other people wrong, and I hope for Leeds United's sake, I hope he does. But you've got to be ruthless in this game. Now, Farker will probably do enough to get Leeds out of the Championship because of the resources and the players, and probably on the whole is going to win probably 50-60% of games this season, which is probably enough to get you up, right? But is he the right man? Is Leeds United to be an established Premier League team? That's what I'd be looking for if I'm the ownership of Leeds United at this moment in time. Yes, the priority is to get out of the division, which is fair enough, but you've also got to look one step ahead of the opposition in the market of where you are. Is Farker the right man to make Leeds United into not necessarily what they used to be, because it's a completely different ball game, but can they go into that Premier League and survive for 5 years? That's the question that Red Bull and the rest of the owners need to look at.
Let's focus on the short term first.
2 quick points. One, just to confirm, Lou has had his Weetabix before the pod started. And secondly, Browney, serious question. How has Meadow Lane got Europa Conference football before Ellen Road?
Oh, I saw this. Is it a different sport or something? What is it?
No, it's TNS. He's taking the piss and being daft about it. TNS of Wales are playing their games in Shrewsbury. It's not called Meadow Lane, you pillock. Meadow Lane's Notts County as well.
All right, not Meadow Lane. Sorry.
It used to be called Gay Meadow. It's called New Meadow now, I think.
New Meadow. There we go.
I think it's now the Crowd Meadow or something like that, actually, with a sponsor in there. But anyway, it serves you right for being daft.
Yeah, it did. I was an idiot. But well played, Lou. Good debate in there, mate. I enjoyed that.
Brownie, let's turn our attention then to the statement today. It's quite a wordy statement. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm just going to read out what the club have put out as the key ambitions then. So they want to modernise and improve stadium capacity from 37,645 to circa 53,000 seats. They want to significant increase the general admission seating, which at present would make Ellen Road the 7th largest club stadium in the country. They want a core architectural design objective is to maintain and enhance the unique atmosphere. Phased approach to construction to minimise loss of seating capacity during the project. They want to bring Elland Road in line with UEFA Category 4 status to be amongst the elite in European stadiums. And they want an expert team combining global stadium experience with local specialist knowledge that is assembled to deliver the artist's impressions and planning submission. That is, for the most part, a load of technical gobbledygook. Bottom line, though, Brownie, is they're wanting to add, 17,000 seats to Elland Road?
Yeah, I mean, fans have been waiting for this for years, kind of announcements to move this forward. I think as soon as we got into the Premier League, it was like, right, let's build up, because the demand under Bielsa was so massive. 26,000 season ticket waiting list, for example.
Is that demand going to be there with boring ball?
You could. This is the other thing as well. Under Bielsa, and sorry, Lou, I'm getting it out of the box. My apologies, but it was so exciting and thrilling, and the demand just went through the roof, and that's when all these plans have come about. Again, it all hinges on. I mean, we need to be in the Premier League club. I mean, you don't have an elite European stadium if you're battling out against Cardiff every week. It's you've got to be in that Premier League team. Yeah, well, this is it, so it's exciting in some regards, but and the promises to retain the atmosphere. So Elland Road at its best, obviously we know what it's like. It's unbelievable atmosphere.
Brian made this point on the atmosphere.
I think by building, obviously still at Elland Road, it's not a brand new shiny stadium that's kind of neither here nor there. It's hopefully it'll still have that feeling about it, which is good. I'm actually glad of that. I know about 20 years ago they were on about a ground move, which would have always felt weird, and like Ryan says there, same as what they did with Anfield. So yeah, it's a positive. It's a nice little boost. It's something exciting. It shows that we're the group, the 49ers are investing. They've got big plans, big ideas for the club. We just need to match it on the field.
I mean, just look at one or two of the comments here. Apparently, where is it? Bear with me. I think it might have been Gavin that was saying that there's something like 26,000 people on the waiting list for season tickets at Leeds United at the moment. Apparently, they charge £12 as well to be on that waiting list, which he said is a nice little earner. I mean, Ryan, look, he said he preferred it when you could rock up 10 minutes before kickoff and get a ticket from the box office. So,
yeah, good old days.
Here's a thing, though, and I mentioned here's a thing. I'm going on my pedestal again, but in terms of atmosphere, right? Maybe fans make the atmosphere. Maybe not all this. Listen, there's people paid far more money than me, which is fair enough, and they've got the jobs to do. But actually, to Brownie's point, the other week, really quiet. Elland Road is one of the best on its day for atmosphere. The ground hasn't changed for how many years? So what makes that stadium rock is the fans and the atmosphere. It's the same at Huddersfield. It's the same at Bradford City. Remember when Bradford City were flying in the cup competitions? I was there a few nights. It was unbelievable, right? Yeah. Then a few years later, there's hardly anybody there. That's not the stadium's fault. That's for people turning up and not making a noise. So it's the same with Leeds United for this one, and people can go about new designs and all that kind of stuff and keeping heart and soul and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But at the end of the day, it's the fans that make the atmosphere and make the groundwork as it should do, not the whole architect around it. If you're going to be quiet, you might as well go to Horsfall Avenue or Emily or whatever if you want to, because it's going to have the same atmosphere if you're going to be there or a 30,000 seater stadium.
No, don't disrespect there.
Don't drag Emily into having youth problems.
No, offense. But you know what I'm saying is that it's the fans and the people who make the difference. At the end of the day.
If they're not having a riot at Ellen Road, then it can be silence, can't it? You know, but I agree with Lou. It's the same. It's the same at every stadium going. It's the fans that make the atmosphere. But I also think, Lou, and I don't know whether you would add to this. If the football, which it is at Leeds, it's good at Leeds, but if the football is not very good, then there's nothing to cheer, is there? So it's like a two-way relationship, isn't it? That's what I believe. The players have to give the fans something to cheer, and the fans have to create an atmosphere for the players to want to play.
To an extent, but I also think there's a little bit of this, and I know, Gaz, you've got your points. I'll move on and get off my box. But like in my box would be
you eat a big spot.
But there's a responsibility is not the right word, and not expectation, but fans are there to make a difference themselves. They can't be waiting for the football to give them something to shout about. The fans have got to do that for players as well. Yeah, so there is an aspect of there's got to be some kind of brand or identity or whatever that is. But ultimately, if you win every game and you're invincible for the season like Arsenal were, you're going to have a good sing-song, aren't you? You're going to have a good time. The atmosphere is going to be buzzing. You could play the most boring football, but you could win every game. Does that mean it's going to be quiet? My opinion, probably not. Would it be as loud if you played the most entertaining football and won 7-0?
I just wonder.
Probably louder. But I think there's a responsibility a little bit on fans to do their job. Yes, they're paying and they've got entitled opinions, but end of the day, they've got to give something back to the players because that's what you turn up to do, don't you? You want to have a good time, a good day out.
Am I going mad though? Like when I watch games on TV, like if you catch a game from like, I don't know, the early noughties or the 90s or maybe even, 5 or 6 years ago, I thought the crowds just seem to have so much more life to them, louder, like
aggressive. I feel like yesterday.
Yeah, I just feel like now, I don't know, because everything's so commercialised and the average fan is getting squeezed so much, prices are going up, pay for your shirt, pay for this. The fans are just used like cash cows, right? They're ATMs for the clubs, aren't they? Right, go buy this new shirt, go do this, go do that, spend all this money, and then the expectations, right? I don't know if that divide is just getting too big.
I think there's probably an element to that, but my counter argument to that is it doesn't stop you from not singing and having a good time and creating a good atmosphere. Does it? Does money?
Yeah.
If you're listen, I'm throwing a blanket over a lot of people, and this is probably really unfair to me because people have got completely different financial circumstances. But I can imagine if people absolutely adore and love the club as much as they do, I'd say probably 80% probably would still go. They'd probably still find a way somehow of getting a season ticket and do what they need to do to go and watch it because it's for life. That sounds wrong, but I also don't think money can stop people from being quiet. But I know what you mean. I think there's I think it's a different kind of atmosphere, isn't it? But listen, you talk about Leeds at the times of atmospheres. But yeah, sorry guys, you go on, because you've got points about Anfield because of your connections there.
Just before I go on to Anfield, I just think what you're saying, you're both kind of right. It's a reciprocal relationship. Like fans feed off the crowd, but the crowd fans feed off the players, but the players feed off the fans as well. And it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It's like you need a bit of both, really. Do you know what I mean?
It's got to be the fans in that case, though, isn't it?
I think so. But it also kind of depends on the general feeling around the club at the time. If the feeling around the club is positive, the fans are going to be more willing to instigate that atmosphere. If it's negative, then they need something to feed off that happens in the game. Sometimes it might just be, we talk about Bradford, it might just be a player flying in for a tackle or an opposition player being a bit of an arse that gets the crowd up. But just come on to Anfield, I wouldn't want anyone. I know Ryan said that obviously because the same people doing the league contracted to do Ellen Road as did Anfield. Liverpool fans are not happy at all with the Anfield atmosphere at the moment. They haven't been for a long while, to be honest. Too many day trippers, blah 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 blah. Comes back to Lou's point about pricing out the real fans and etc. But the Liverpool fans aren't happy about the atmosphere, and there is a feeling that it has been worse since the redevelopment, although it was meant to be maintained or even improved by the development, and the feeling is that it hasn't been. And I was seeing, I don't know if it was official or whether it was just fans calling on them to get involved, but they're wanting Spirit of Shankly to speak to the club to try and see what can be done about getting that atmosphere as they believe it should be. So it happens at every club. And yeah, it's not necessarily the stadium. It can be the stadium. It can be the players on the pitch. It can be the fans, but it's not a simple relationship, and it happens, like I say, at every club. And most fans probably want it to be improved at their club.
I mean, you've had it at City, haven't you, Gaz, with the people with the boys and girls moving from the northwest corner down to the top end at the bottom of the lower tier. That's caused issues already, hasn't it? Beginning of the season, am I true?
Yeah, it has caused issues. I think a lot of people believe that could have been handled better, but it could have been handled better. But then the people that are down there that are complaining that now the atmosphere sections down there they can't see or whatever, were given the opportunity to move. So there's two sides to every argument in that respect. But yeah, they have done what they can to increase the atmosphere. You know, Northwest Collective as they are. We're in the northwest corner as the atmosphere section. They've now been moved to closer to the pitch in the hope that they can be heard further around the stadium, because it was felt that in the northwest corner they were too far away from the pitch. So yeah, you're right, Luke.
Yeah, Town did a. Sorry, Lou. I just wanted to make a point that I don't know if you're aware, but Town did a very similar thing a number of years ago. Just before that, it was the first year it happened. I believe was the season before we went up to the Premier League, so about 2015, and the Cowshed Loyal was created, or South Stand Loyal as they are now. But it was originally South Stand Loyal. Now it's Cowshed Loyal after the old Cowshed at Leeds Road. But basically, in the away end at Town, you could get 4,000 fans in there as an away end, and a lot of the time we were seeing in League One or the Championship, we weren't getting 4,000 fans coming, and therefore we argued and said, look, that stand should be split. We should at least have a proper home end. And that was the most atmospheric sort of stand because of the way the ground is built. And that, therefore, when we got to the promotion season, that made a huge difference, you know, particularly because we were playing well. And in the Premier League, you know, a lot of the commentators that were coming, some of them had never been to the stadium at all in their broadcasting careers. And I used to go into the press box at that time, and they used to say about the atmosphere and how good it was, and that it was a lot better than some of the bigger Premier League grounds that you get. And I think the way that a stadium is designed and built does help that, and that's what I worry for Leeds at Ellen Road. You know, you look at the way Anfield's gone, you look at the sort of Tottenham and the way that these things have gone, and I would be, you know, I agree that there is changes needed at Ellen Road to modernise it, but you don't want to lose the pure heart of that Ellen Road roar that's been down the years, because it is a fabulous atmosphere when it gets going.
Yeah.
I think Spurs, to be fair, is one of the grounds that has improved after the modern stadium atmosphere-wise, to be fair. I think, though, Brownie, I think you're spot on. I think it's also just go back 15, 20 years, and even more recently, you know, 5, 10 sort of thing. I just think almost before, it seems to be I think there's two things. I think a post-COVID thing, where people were away for so long that it seems, I don't know, people just aren't seem to, it's just not as loud as it used to be.
Yeah.
And then I also think the football itself plays a large part in that. I really do. A lot of clubs, I mean, who's going to cheer and get behind arsing around with it, passing it from your left back to your centre back, back to your goalkeeper, over to your right back, back to your other second centre back? Who's going to piss, you know, who's going to cheer that sort of football? And look, I've said it before, and you know how much I love Pep. He's got a lot to answer for. This arsing around at the back thing that every fucking club seems insisting on. Who wants to cheer that? Whereas go back 15, 20 years when you were getting the ball forward quickly into an Alan Smith and Mark Viduka partnership, or Kuhl or whatever, you know, playing attacking front foot, you know, attacking football of a different style, it was more exciting. It was more enjoyable for your average fan to watch. Nobody gives a shit if your two centre halves are passing into each other for 6 or 7 1-2s in a row. Like, there's nothing to cheer about.
No, it'll be interesting to see where football trends next, won't it? It'll be interesting to see where football trends next, won't it? You know, we had kind of
never make money on this.
Remember, like Mourinho, Benitez era, where it was really like stalemate football, grinding out 1-0 wins, and then obviously Pep and everything. And like you say, now everybody wants to play out from the back. It'll be interesting to see where it goes next. You never know; it might go back to hoofball. Who knows?
I mean, if it carries on, I mean, at least the opposition will be in for a treat from Town playing around at the back anyway. And on that note, actually, Steve, I think Dan Cobbler, he says, "Shoe army." There we go.
Okay. Does Lou want to come in, make a comment? I don't. He looked like
Lou. He really wants to.
I've got nothing more to say on it, by the way. I've made mine.
I was just going to say, I think Ryan summed it up. I'm not saying the words.
Go on, Lou.
No.
Go on.
I just can't believe you just. I don't know. It's just like Pep Freeze. Pep's an absolute genius at what he does.
He's got so much to answer for the problems with
English football. He's revolutionised the way football is at this moment in time. Whether you like it or not, he's revolutionised the way football is.
Football now is nowhere near as good and as exciting as it was 10 years ago.
Right.
15 years
ago.
And
on that note, let's all go and play FIFA.
Tonight has been the West Yorkshire Football Show.
Yeah.
Anyway, Brownie, this expansion then. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a positive sign, and look, we'll see how long it takes to get to fruition. Like I say, main goal: get back to the Premier League and be miserable in the Premier League. Can't wait.
Happy ending.
Miserable there than in the Championship here, Brownie.
Yeah.
It's still very good if you're only there for 2 seasons, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there we go. Probably about time to bring the show to a close. Big thank you to everyone who has been commenting away during the course of the show. You
didn't do Lee's predictions.
Yeah,
go on then, Lou. I'll let you go first. How just what do you think Parker's passing it around at the back football is going to get Leeds this weekend?
5-0 Leeds United.
Yes,
don't be lucky. Actually, for a start, Brownie, who have they got again?
Coventry, who are not doing
home or away?
Well. Home. After a quick glance at the screen, yep, home.
So 5-0 for Lou.
Chris, going with that.
I'm sticking with it. Yeah, I'm sticking with it. 5-0 Leeds.
He's just
sticking with my Leeds boys. Leeds.
Oh my God, Lou, you're not helping your case, mate.
Gaz, Leeds at home to Coventry.
2-0 Leeds.
That sounded confident. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Leeds win, Brownie, and every single one of the goals is going to be started by Mesley at the back.
Brownie?
And Coventry will get a penalty.
Yeah, I'm going to go comfy 2-0. And people to kick off again and be unhappy with it.
Well, if they're unhappy with that, I'm going to go one apiece, 1-1.
We'll go for 3-3. Come on, you coward.
Oh, no, if it's 1-1, I mean, seriously, if it finished 1-1, it'd be meltdown territory. I'm telling you.
Of course it would. And they've got every right to Brownie.
You might be right.
Lou's going back in his closet, everybody, after this episode.
I don't think he can. I think the closet's slammed shut behind him, to be honest. He's firmly out as a Leeds fan now. So
yeah. All Leeds, are we?
Brownie, are you and Jay going to be doing something a bit later in the week? Yes.
Yeah, we will.
We'll
be doing something, and then we'll be back for a post-match review as well. Yeah, if you're around.
Heard that.
That was very good.
I thought it was good. I thought it was good, guys. I thought I just slipped it in there, mate.
Just to make you feel at home as well, Lou. Just to make you feel at home.
What a beautiful sight.
Marching on for sale.
Can you imagine that with 53,000 in? Wow,
oh my God. Please, can we just turn it off now? The stream's ended.
Lou, where are you on season ticket waiting list, Lou?
26,001.
Lou's been signing up for it as the stream's gone on.
Sorry, mate.
Just got to payment of that 12 pack, which is disgusting, by the way. You should be ashamed of your football club, Brownie. 12 quid to be on a list. Come on.
It's modern football, isn't it? They'll
Jesus
squeeze
Christ.
every last drop.
Careful.
They'll
I get
squeeze
why
from it.
people don't want town season tickets, but come on, £12, come on.
This is what modern football. Come on.
Ryan says Leeds fans will be prepping their Guy Farkers. Bonfire.
All right,
Very
the
good.
stream's gone now. End it, Chris. We've
all completely lost our minds.
Well, on that note, let's bring it to an end then. Big thank you, I say, to everyone that has joined us on over the course of the show with your comments on X and through YouTube chat as well. We do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, you're a strange bunch. But if you have, do give us a like and a subscription, and you'll get notifications for all the content that we do here on the West Yorkshire Football Show. We'll be back, I say, Steve will be back later in the week to do a town preview. Brownie and Jay, and possibly Lou, will be down to do a Leeds United preview as well. We'll be back next Monday as well with next week's. What am I saying?
Just
with
end
next
it.
week's Monday night roundup. But for myself, from Steve, from Brownie, from Lou, and from Gaz, big thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be back very soon here on the West Yorkshire Football Show.